Most people believe that losing muscle as you age is simply unavoidable. They think that after 60, 70, or 80 years old, the body just goes into decline, and there is nothing you can really do about it. But what if that belief is only half true? What if the most important thing your muscles need every single day could come from a simple drink you can make in your own kitchen in less than 3 minutes? In this video, you are going to discover what happens to muscle tissue as people age, why so many older adults lose strength faster than necessary, and which ingredients in a simple homemade drink may help support muscle health when combined with the right lifestyle habits. This is not a miracle cure, but the science behind what you are about to hear is real, and it may genuinely surprise you. Let's start with what is actually happening inside the body. After about the age of 40, the human body begins to slowly lose muscle mass. Researchers call this process sarcopenia, which comes from the Greek words for flesh and loss. Think of your muscles like a building. Every day, some of the structure breaks down slightly, and every day your body tries to rebuild it. When you are young, the construction crew works fast, but as you age, the rebuild process slows down, and the breakdown starts to win. By the time someone reaches their 70s, this process can accelerate significantly. Some research suggests muscle mass may decline at a rate of roughly 8% per decade after the age of 40, and even faster after 70. This is not just about appearance or strength. Losing too much muscle is associated with a higher risk of falls, fractures, fatigue, and difficulty with everyday tasks like climbing stairs or carrying groceries. It can affect independence, quality of life, and long-term health in ways most people do not fully appreciate until the problem is already serious. And here's what makes this even more urgent. Many older adults are not eating enough of the one nutrient that muscles need most. That nutrient is protein. Here's something important that many people do not know. As we age, our muscles become more resistant to the signals that trigger growth and repair. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It means that older adults actually need more protein than younger people to stimulate the same amount of muscle building. The standard recommendations for daily protein intake were designed for the general adult population, but emerging evidence suggests they may not be sufficient for older adults trying to protect or rebuild muscle. A research paper published in Frontiers in Nutrition in 2024 reviewed the evidence and noted that for people over 65, many experts now recommend a daily protein intake of around 1.0 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, and potentially higher when someone is dealing with illness or inflammation. For comparison, many older adults are currently eating far below that range. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging, which looked at the diets of nearly 12,000 individuals aged 51 and older, found that approximately 46% were not meeting even the basic daily protein recommendations. That is almost half, and if you are one of those people, your muscles may be quietly losing ground every single day. But here is the good news. This is something you can actually do something about. Now, before we get into the drink itself, I want to be upfront about something. If you take any prescription medications, especially for blood pressure, blood sugar, kidney conditions, or if you have any chronic illness, please speak with your healthcare professional before making significant dietary changes. Some nutrients can interact with medications, and what works beautifully for one person may need to be adjusted for another. Your doctor or registered dietitian is your best partner in applying any of this information. With that said, let us look at what makes a simple, practical drink genuinely supportive for muscle health in older adults. The foundation: quality protein. The most important ingredient in any muscle-supporting drink is high-quality protein, and for older adults, not all protein sources are equal. Research consistently highlights two types of protein that are particularly effective at stimulating muscle protein synthesis: whey protein and casein. Whey, which comes from milk, is digested quickly. It floods the bloodstream with amino acids rapidly after consumption, which appears to be especially useful for triggering the muscle-building signal. Casein, also from milk, is digested more slowly and provides a steadier release of amino acids over several hours. If you prefer a dairy-free option, plant-based proteins from soy, pea, or a combination of sources can also work well, especially when consumed in sufficient amounts and combined with other key nutrients. For practical use at home, whole cow's milk or a high-quality Greek yogurt can serve as a natural protein base. 1 cup of whole milk provides approximately 8 grams of protein. A serving of Greek yogurt can provide 15 to 20 grams, depending on the brand and portion. When blended together, these two alone can form a solid protein foundation. The ingredient most people overlook, leucine. Here is where things become scientifically fascinating and where many ordinary protein shakes fall short. There is one specific amino acid that plays an outsized role in turning on the muscle-building signal in older adults. That amino acid is called leucine. Think of leucine as the ignition key for muscle protein synthesis. Without enough leucine at each meal, the body may not properly activate the process of rebuilding muscle tissue, no matter how much total protein you consume. Research involving older adults has shown that leucine plays a central role in stimulating muscle protein synthesis, and that older adults may need higher leucine levels per meal to achieve the same response as younger people. Foods and protein sources that are naturally rich in leucine include whey protein, milk, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and eggs. One practical way to boost leucine intake in a homemade drink is to add a tablespoon of cottage cheese or an egg to a milk-based smoothie, or to use a whey protein supplement that lists leucine content on the label. Some research indicates that aiming for at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per main meal may help support a stronger muscle-building response in older adults. Vitamin D, the overlooked muscle partner. Most people think of vitamin D as a bone vitamin. And it is. But its relationship with muscle function is something researchers have been studying with increasing interest. Vitamin D receptors exist in muscle tissue, and deficiency in vitamin D has been associated in multiple studies with reduced muscle strength and physical performance in older adults. A review published by Frontiers in Nutrition highlighted that vitamin D is one of the key nutritional components that can synergistically support muscle mass maintenance and regeneration in aging populations. Many older adults have insufficient vitamin D levels, particularly those who spend limited time outdoors or live in regions with less sunlight. A simple way to add vitamin D to a homemade drink is to use vitamin D fortified milk, or to discuss supplementation with your healthcare provider. A few studies have specifically looked at protein drinks enriched with both leucine and vitamin D for older adults, and found promising results for muscle protein synthesis after meals. These findings are encouraging, though the overall evidence is still evolving. Creatine, an underrated option worth knowing about. This next one surprises many people because creatine is often associated with young athletes and weightlifters. But some of the most compelling research on creatine in recent years has actually focused on older adults. Creatine is a natural compound found in small amounts in meat and fish. The body also produces some on its own. But as people age, natural creatine stores in muscle tend to decline. Research published in Frontiers in Physiology in 2024 reviewed the evidence on creatine supplementation and aging, and the conclusion was that among older adults, the strongest evidence remains in the areas of muscle strength, lean mass, and exercise capacity, particularly when creatine is paired with resistance training. The typical dose studied in research for older adults is 3 to 5 grams per day, which is a small amount. A teaspoon of creatine monohydrate powder has no taste, dissolves easily in liquid, and can be added directly to a smoothie or shake. However, it is important to emphasize that creatine works best when combined with physical activity, even light resistance exercise. It is not a substitute for movement. And because creatine is processed through the kidneys, anyone with kidney conditions should consult their doctor before using it. Omega-3 fats, reducing resistance in aging muscle. Another ingredient worth adding to your awareness and potentially to your drink is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the EPA and DHA forms found in fish and fish oil. One of the underlying reasons older muscles are harder to stimulate is inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging by researchers, can blunt the muscle-building response to protein and exercise. Omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, have been studied for their role in reducing inflammation and potentially improving the sensitivity of muscle to protein intake. Some research suggests that omega-3 supplementation may help improve the muscle-building response to protein in older adults, which would make every gram of protein you consume work a little harder. A fish oil capsule taken alongside a protein-rich drink is one simple option. Alternatively, a small amount of flaxseed or chia seed blended into a smoothie provides plant-based omega-3s, though the form available in plants is less direct than the EPA and DHA found in fish. The drink that brings it all together. Now let's make this practical. Here is a simple, ingredient-based framework for a muscle-supporting drink you can adapt to your own preferences and what you have at home. Start with 1 cup of whole milk, or fortified plant-based milk. Add 1 serving of Greek yogurt, about half a cup. This gives you a meaningful combination of protein, leucine, and calcium in a form that is easy to digest. Add 1 ripe banana. It contributes natural sugars for energy, potassium for muscle function, and helps with texture and flavor. Add a tablespoon of peanut butter or almond butter for additional protein and healthy fats. If you have access to whey protein powder or a clean, simple protein supplement, adding 1 scoop can significantly boost the leucine content. Finally, if your healthcare provider has approved it, you can add 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate powder and a small amount of flaxseed or chia seed for omega-3 support. Blend everything together, and what you have is not just a tasty drink. It is a nutritional tool designed around the specific needs of aging muscle tissue. The best time to consume this drink is either shortly before or after any form of physical activity, or as part of breakfast if you tend to skip protein in the morning. Research consistently shows that distributing protein intake across meals, rather than consuming most of it in one sitting, tends to support better muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. Now, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone in their mid-60s who has gradually noticed that climbing stairs takes more effort than it used to. They feel tired more easily. They have been told their muscle mass has declined slightly. They start adding a homemade protein shake to their morning routine 3 or 4 times a week. They also begin taking short walks after meals and doing some light resistance exercises, even just using their own body weight. Over weeks and months, they notice a gradual improvement in energy, strength, and stability. They feel less afraid of falling. They can do more of the things they enjoy. This kind of change is not a fantasy. It reflects what research suggests is possible for many older adults when nutrition and movement work together under appropriate guidance. Results will vary from person to person. Not everyone will respond the same way, but the direction of the evidence is clear. Muscle loss is not entirely inevitable, and what you eat plays a real role in how your body ages. You do not need an expensive supplement stack or a complicated plan. You just need to start making intentional choices. 1 meal, 1 drink, 1 walk at a time. Here is a simple starting point for this week. First, take an honest look at how much protein you are actually eating each day. If you are unsure, a registered dietitian can help you assess this accurately. Second, add 1 high-protein drink to your morning routine using the ingredients we discussed. Third, try to include a good protein source at every main meal, not just at dinner. Fourth, if your doctor has cleared you for exercise, even a short daily walk and a few simple strength movements can amplify everything else you are doing with nutrition. Fifth, discuss with your healthcare provider whether vitamin D levels, creatine, or omega-3 supplementation might be appropriate for your specific situation. Small, consistent actions repeated over time can lead to meaningful improvements in muscle strength, physical function, and independence as you age. That is not a promise of a specific result. It is what the science, at its most hopeful and realistic, continues to suggest. This is the first video on this channel, and it exists for one reason: to bring you clear, honest, science-based information about health, aging, and how small daily choices can make a real difference over time. No exaggeration, no false promises, just what the research actually says and how you can apply it in your real life. If this video gave you something useful, consider subscribing so you do not miss what is coming next. There is a lot more to explore: inflammation and muscle recovery, the foods that may support stronger bones, the habits that protect the brain as you age, and much more. Each video will be built the same way this one was, with real evidence, practical steps, and respect for your intelligence. And one last thing. If you have a parent, grandparent, spouse, or friend who could benefit from this information, share this video with them. The people we love deserve to know that aging well is not just possible. For many, it is within reach, one better choice at a time.